Hey garden enthusiasts and farming friends! Today we're diving into one of gardening's best-kept secrets that's been transforming fields and gardens for thousands of years: crop rotation. Think of it as nature's way of keeping your soil happy and your harvests bountiful. You know that feeling when you plant tomatoes in the same spot year after year, and suddenly they're not growing as well. Or when those pesky pests just won't leave your vegetables alone. Well, that's where crop rotation comes in to save the day. It's like giving your soil a vacation, but instead of lounging on a beach, it's busy rebuilding its strength. Why crop rotation is a game changer. So what exactly is crop rotation? Imagine your garden as a dinner plate. Just as you wouldn't want to eat the same meal every day, your soil doesn't want to feed the same type of plant year after year. By moving your crops around in a planned sequence, you're creating a natural cycle that works wonders for your garden. Let me share something exciting. Gardens using proper crop rotation can see up to 30% higher yields. But that's not all. When you rotate your crops, you're basically playing matchmaker between your plants and soil. Some plants, like tomatoes, are heavy feeders that take lots of nutrients from the soil. Others, like peas and beans, are generous givers. They actually add nitrogen back to the soil. By rotating them, you're creating the perfect balance. Here's another game-changing benefit. Crop rotation is like a natural pest control system. Those pesky potato beetles that loved feasting on your spuds last year, they'll be mighty confused when they wake up to find beans growing instead. By breaking the cycle of pest reproduction and disease buildup, you're protecting your plants without reaching for chemical sprays. Think of crop rotation as playing musical chairs with your plants. Each time the music stops, or in this case, each growing season, your plants move to a different spot. This simple move prevents soil depletion, reduces pest problems, and keeps diseases at bay. It's like having a security system, fertility program, and pest control all rolled into one natural package. The best part? Anyone can do this, whether you have acres of farmland or just a few raised beds in your backyard. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter with nature's own rhythm. Now that you understand why crop rotation is such a game changer, let's explore the different plant families and how to group them effectively. But before we dive into that, take a moment to think about your garden. Are you giving your soil the variety it craves? Understanding crop families. Before we dive into specific plant families, let's understand something really simple. Plants are grouped into families just like we have families in our lives. But instead of sharing last names, plants in the same family share important features like how they grow, what they need from the soil, and what problems they might face. Think about it this way. When you look at plants, some have similar flowers, similar leaf patterns, or grow in similar ways. Scientists noticed these patterns and grouped plants into families. It's like sorting your laundry. You keep similar items together because they need similar care. There are three main things we look at when grouping plants into families. 1. How they grow and what they look like. 2. What nutrients they need from the soil. 3. Which pests and diseases typically affect them. Why do we care about these families in our gardens? Because knowing them helps us make smart decisions. When we rotate crops, our main goals are preventing diseases from building up in the soil, managing how nutrients are used and replaced, controlling pests naturally, getting bigger, healthier harvests. Now, let's meet these plant families, and I promise to make it super simple. First up are the legumes. Think of them as your garden's natural fertilizer makers. This family includes all types of beans, peas, peanuts. What makes them special? Under their roots, they have tiny factories that capture nitrogen from the air and put it into the soil. It's like they're leaving thank you notes in your garden by making the soil better for the next plants. Next, we have the nightshade family. These are your summer superstars. Tomatoes, peppers, potatoes, eggplants. These plants are like teenage athletes. They're hungry and need lots of food, nutrients to grow. They all have similar looking flowers and grow their fruits above ground, except potatoes, which are rebels and grow underground. The brassica family is your cold weather crew: cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts. Think of these as your tough winter warriors. They all have similar round leaves when they're babies, and their flowers look like tiny crosses. They're heavy feeders too, meaning they need lots of nutrients to grow those big leaves and flower heads. The root crop family is your underground treasure team. Carrots, parsnips, beets, radishes. These vegetables do all their important growing underground. They're like little miners, digging deep and breaking up your soil. They prefer soil that's not too rich. Think of them as the low-maintenance family. Finally, we have the leafy greens, lettuce, spinach, Swiss chard. These are your salad superstars. They grow quickly and are perfect for filling empty spaces in your garden. Think of them as the easygoing family that gets along with everyone. Here's a super simple way to remember how to use these families. Think of your garden as a dinner plate that changes with each season. You wouldn't eat the same meal every day, right? Your soil feels the same way. If tomatoes grew here this year, plant peas next year to replenish the soil. After peas, maybe try some carrots. The best part? You don't need to memorize complicated charts or rules. Just remember, different families have different needs, and moving them around helps keep your soil healthy and your plants happy. Now that you're familiar with these plant families, let's learn how to create a simple rotation plan that works in any garden. Trust me, it's easier than you might think. Creating a rotation plan. Now, we're going to tackle something that might seem tricky, but I promise to make it super simple. Creating your very own crop rotation plan. Put away those complicated gardening books and fancy charts because I'm going to show you a system so easy, you could draw it on a napkin. Whether you're working with a couple of raised beds or a bigger garden plot, this system will work perfectly for you. Let's start with the very basics of mapping out your garden. Grab a piece of paper, because we're going to do something really simple. Draw your garden space, just a basic rectangle will do, and divide it into 4 equal sections. Now why 4 sections? Because it's the magic number that makes crop rotation practically foolproof. If you're working with raised beds, don't worry. Each bed can be its own little rotation system. The beauty of this approach is that it works no matter what shape your garden actually is. Think of these 4 sections like rooms in a house. Each room will host different plant families throughout the year. Now, let me introduce you to what I call the 4-year rotation plan. The simplest rotation system you'll ever need. We're going to assign each section a specific group of plants. One for leaf crops like your lettuce and cabbage, another for fruit crops like tomatoes and peppers, a third for root crops like carrots and beets, and the 4th for your soil builders like peas and beans. Here's where the magic happens. Each year, everything just shifts one section over, like a garden square dance. Your leaf crops move to where the fruit crops were, fruit crops move to where root crops were, and so on. After 4 years, they're back where they started. But during that time, your soil has had the perfect chance to recover and rebuild its strength. Let's get really practical and talk about what this looks like throughout the growing season. In your leaf section, you might start the spring with lettuce and spinach, move to cabbage and kale in the summer, and finish off with another round of lettuce and Asian greens in the fall. Over in your fruit section, you'll plant those tomatoes and peppers in spring. Let them grow and produce all summer, then clean up and prepare for next year in fall. The root section starts with carrots and beets in spring, continues with more root vegetables in summer, and finishes with quick-growing radishes and turnips in fall. Finally, in your soil builder section, you'll have peas in spring, beans in summer, and maybe some clover as a cover crop in fall. Here's a really cool trick that many gardeners miss. You can actually plant quick-growing crops like radishes and lettuce between your slower-growing plants. It's like filling in the gaps in a puzzle. Just make sure they're from different plant families. This way, you're maximizing your garden space while still sticking to your rotation plan. Now, let's talk about making this work in the real world, because we all know gardening doesn't always go exactly as planned. If you have a small garden with just 2 raised beds, simply split each bed in half and rotate between them. The principle stays exactly the same, just on a smaller scale. For those lucky folks with larger gardens, you can either make bigger sections or create multiple 4-part rotations. The key is just keeping track of what goes where. and a simple garden journal is perfect for this. Sometimes things don't go as planned, and that's totally okay. Let's say your tomatoes didn't do so well in one section. Before you move everything next year, take a closer look at that section. Maybe it needs some extra compost, or perhaps it's getting too much or too little shade. Use these challenges as learning opportunities. They're like your garden's way of giving you feedback. Remember, don't get too caught up in making everything perfect. Some overlap between sections is fine, and it's better to start small and expand later than to get overwhelmed trying to do too much at once. The most important thing is to keep track of what you're doing. Listen to what your plants are telling you, and be willing to adjust your plan if something isn't working. By following this simple rotation system, you're setting yourself up for healthier soil, stronger plants, and better harvests year after year. In our next section, we'll explore some advanced techniques that can take your garden to the next level. But remember, the basic plan we just created is all you really need to get started. Everything else is just extra credit. So, are you ready to start planning your rotation? Grab that piece of paper and let's get growing. Advanced techniques about crop rotation. Now that you've mastered the basics of crop rotation, let's explore some advanced techniques that will take your garden to the next level. We're going to dive into two powerful strategies: cover cropping and companion planting. Think of these as the secret weapons of successful gardeners. Let's start with cover crops, your soil's best friends during off-seasons. Imagine leaving your garden bare between growing seasons is like leaving your skin unprotected in harsh weather. Cover crops are like a cozy blanket for your soil. These are plants you grow not to eat, but to protect and improve your soil. The most popular choices are clover, rye, and buckwheat. In winter, ryegrass sends its roots deep into the soil, breaking up compacted areas and creating natural pathways for water and nutrients. Clover is amazing at fixing nitrogen in your soil. It's like having a free fertilizer factory running 24/7. Buckwheat grows quickly in summer, shading out weeds and attracting beneficial insects to your garden. Choosing the right cover crop is simpler than you might think. For fall planting, go with hardy varieties like winter rye or hairy vetch that can survive cold temperatures. For summer, try fast-growing buckwheat or cowpeas. The key is timing. Plant your cover crops about a month before your main crops finish. When it's time to plant your next crop, simply cut down your cover crop and either compost it or let it decompose right there in the garden bed. This creates what gardeners call green manure, nature's own fertilizer system. Now, let's talk about companion planting. It's like creating the perfect neighborhood in your garden where every plant helps its neighbors thrive. Some classic combinations have been proven over generations. Take the famous Three Sisters planting. Corn provides a natural pole for beans to climb. Beans fix nitrogen in the soil, feeding the corn and squash, while squash spreads along the ground, shading out weeds and keeping moisture in the soil. It's a perfect example of plants working together in harmony. Here are some companion planting combinations that really work. Plant basil near tomatoes. It improves their flavor and repels pests. Marigolds aren't just pretty flowers. They protect almost any vegetable from harmful nematodes in the soil. Carrots love tomatoes, and tomatoes help protect carrots from pests. Nasturtiums act like a sacrifice plant, attracting aphids away from your valuable crops. Plus, their flowers are edible and add beautiful color to salads. But companion planting isn't just about who gets along. It's also about keeping feuding plants apart. For example, beans and onions don't play well together, and potatoes can stunt the growth of tomatoes and squash. Think of it like a seating chart at a wedding. Some guests just shouldn't sit together. When planning your companion planting, start small. Choose one or two proven combinations and observe how they work in your garden. Pay attention to plant heights. Tall plants like corn or pole beans should be planted on the north side of shorter plants so they don't block the sun. Consider growth rates too. Radishes can be planted between slower growing carrots because they'll be harvested before the carrots need the space. Here's a pro tip that combines both techniques. Use shallow-rooted cover crops like clover as living mulch between your vegetables. The clover suppresses weeds, keeps the soil moist, and fixes nitrogen, all while your vegetables grow above it. Just keep it trimmed so it doesn't compete with your crops. Remember, these advanced techniques work best when integrated with your basic rotation plan. They're like the spices in a well-cooked meal. They enhance the main ingredients but don't replace them. Start with one new technique at a time, observe how it works in your garden, and adjust as needed. Your garden is unique, and part of the joy of gardening is discovering what works best in your space. In our final section coming up, we'll look at real-world examples and success stories from gardeners who've mastered these techniques. Their experiences will inspire you and show you just how powerful these methods can be when used together. Real-world examples and success stories. Let's look at how real gardeners and farmers are using crop rotation to transform their harvests. First, meet Sarah from Michigan, who turned her small suburban backyard into a thriving vegetable garden. Using a simple 4-bed rotation system, she increased her tomato yield by 40% in just 2 years. Her secret? Following heavy-feeding tomatoes with nitrogen-fixing peas, then leafy greens, and finally root vegetables. Now she produces enough vegetables to feed her family of 4 from spring through fall. In Iowa, farmer John revolutionized his 5-acre organic farm using intensive crop rotation. He divided his land into 6 sections, incorporating cover crops between main seasons. His soil tests showed a 60% increase in organic matter after 3 years, and his irrigation needs dropped by 30%. The key was timing his cover crops perfectly, planting rye in fall after corn, then following with soybeans in spring. Urban community gardens in Seattle show how rotation works in small spaces. They use a brilliant square-foot gardening approach, rotating crops within 4x4-foot beds. Each square follows its own mini rotation schedule. The result? These gardens now produce 25% more food per square foot, while using less water and nearly eliminating pest problems. Here's what successful gardeners consistently do. They keep detailed records, stay flexible with their plans, and learn from each season. Take Mario's rooftop garden in Chicago. He adapted traditional rotation patterns to work in containers. By rotating his container crops and refreshing just 25% of his soil each year, he maintains healthy harvests while saving money on supplies. For those just starting, here's an encouraging story from a first-time gardener in Texas. She started with just 2 raised beds, rotating between leaf crops and fruiting vegetables. Even this simple rotation increased her success rate with previously challenging crops like peppers and eggplants. Her advice: start small, keep notes, and don't be afraid to adjust your plan. The most successful gardens share common elements: consistent soil improvement through rotation, attention to plant-family relationships, and careful observation of what works in their specific climate. Whether you're working with acres or containers, these principles remain the same. Remember, every successful garden started with a simple plan and grew from there. Your gardening journey starts now. Take these crop rotation techniques, adapt them to your space, and watch your garden flourish. We'd love to see your success stories. Drop a comment below sharing your garden layout or asking questions. Getting stuck somewhere? Our gardening community is here to help. If you enjoyed learning about crop rotation, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got tons more gardening secrets to share, from pest control to preserving your harvest. Want to see a specific gardening topic? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, great gardens grow better together. Until next time, keep farming and keep watching Smart Farming Inside.